This is recording 2 for the Multimedia project, and I'm going to start with part 1. So, I basically chose to do my poem about the Housatonic River. My original choices were from the Housatonic River, dogs, or yoga. So, I chose to do the Housatonic River because I have a strong connection to it because I grew up really close to that river when I was a kid. And I figured I could create an emotional connection in the poem and throughout the pictures in the entire project. So I started off by making a list about a bunch of topics within the Housatonic River that I wanted to include in the poem. So this is like I could talk about the water flowing, I could talk about the water being still, like calm and peaceful. I could talk about how when the river becomes iced over, different animals and insects on the river, and like motorized boats or jet skis or kayaks or anything like that. Then after I did that, I made my first draft. So I basically like made a format where each stanza was kind of like a different topic that I made from the list. So I basically did one stanza on how the river flows. I did another one on the motorboats in the river. Then another one on the river wind, which is pretty strong. Then another one about the seaweed. Another one about water bugs. Another one about ducks. And one when the river is still. So then I basically just wrote through the first draft and then stopped for a day, didn't look at it, and looked at it the next day. And after that next day, I took out the cliches, the non-defamiliarizing language that could be more defamiliarizing, and exchanged words that were not as strong and not as descriptive for other words that would be more specific and more defamiliarizing. So a few examples of what I changed from my first draft to my second draft is one little phrase I wrote was "can be great," and to change it I wrote "exceptional." Then another change I made is from the word "everything" to "debris, muck, filth, and people." And another change I made, another word that I changed was "murdering," and I changed it to "mutilating." And then one entire line that I changed was carrying the scent of slimy dead seaweed, scaly dead fish, and living trees around the water. And I changed that to carrying aroma of slimy disengaged seaweed, scaly slain fish, and succulent thriving trees. I thought the second one was a lot more descriptive and a lot more defamiliarizing than the first one. And another thing I changed was the dead silence calm nerves. That's very boring. I changed it to tranquility lulls nerves into a slumber. I thought that was a lot more descriptive. At this point, I've also taken a bunch of pictures at different angles of the river, and I've also taken pictures of some animals and insects of the lake. I have some pictures from this past summer of the lake, because I still spend like a lot of time there. So I have pictures that I've taken from the previous times, and I've also taken pictures now, like in the cold weather. So I'm gonna use all those pictures. But I still have a couple more to take. The poem, it still needs some more work. I could definitely make things more defamiliarizing, and I just need to make the pictures more defamiliarizing. Like I want to put it through an app to change like its look and just make it more defamiliarizing. So yeah. Now this is part 2 of the recording to. So I did some more drafts, and I went to go see you for advice a couple of times, or maybe a few times. And basically, like, your overall advice was to make it less wordy and add more similes and metaphors. So one of the biggest those are the two biggest things that I added in there. And so an example of one of the things that I changed is the river wind is assertive. I changed that very boring statement into the river wind as assertive as lemons. And then I continued on. I thought that was that sounded a lot better. And another thing I changed was the rushing flush of this river is exceptional. I changed that to rushing flush is like a sprinter in the 100-meter race. That's a lot more descriptive, a lot more defamiliarizing. It gives you a better picture in your head of what the river looks like. I also edited all the pictures and videos that I took through an app called PS Express. It definitely makes the pictures look very different, like not normal, like you wouldn't really see those kind of things in real life. And seeing my project now done, I actually enjoyed this project a lot. It definitely allowed me to get back in touch with my past and like revisit like the Housatonic River, and it was fun to take the pictures and everything. And I really surprised myself with how I was able to make a lot of the words defamiliarizing. So some of the strengths was I was able to use my own descriptive language, which was kind of cool. I didn't know I was really able to do that. And I was able to make the photos defamiliarizing. Like, I liked putting the photos through an editing app. I thought that made the pictures look really cool. And I was able to use similes and metaphors to describe certain aspects of the lake, which was also neat. And some weaknesses that were my project, I definitely could have taken better pictures, but since most of the project was done in the winter, I had to take most of the pictures in the winter, so I was missing out on like the summer looks of the lake, and like missing out on opportunities to take pictures of animals and insects. And I also struggled in this project to make the poem less wordy, because you don't want to make it look like an essay, you want to make it look like a poem. And yeah, so thank you. That's it.